episode 75 of Fist of the North Star, 1 point. The keyword for this episode is going to be fight. In this video, I want to talk about, in this episode, I see different characters who fight, but with different circumstances, maybe a different reason to fight or against a different person. We're going to develop this, and I find this great in this anime that we often have, we had this before, right? So there's a keyword for this episode, for an episode, but then there are 2 or 3 things that directly correspond to the keyword. And so there is one major thing happening in the episode, but you have 2 or 3 things. So in this case, it's fight, different characters, let's say, that fight. But then you basically have a contrast between them. So for example, it's an honorable fight and a disgraceful fight, and you have a contrast between the 2 things, and you have a lot of this in this anime. So in this video, I want to talk about the difference between Ryuga, of course, who wants to fight against Kenshiro, but that's the second. The first, chronologically in the episode, is those lads, right, who have to go to the other village to steal food because there is an evil, huge pig that is telling them to do so, and that is terrorizing them. And so those lads go and steal, and they act like villains, and that's what Kenshiro tells them. It's very cool because he says, why do you act like villains? Because it's obvious, right? They're not villains. And they also say they didn't even act. I think they didn't even kill anyone. And then they say, oh, come on, just kill us, right? Can't be helped, just kill us. And so they explain their situation, and what Kenshiro says is very interesting. What Kenshiro says is, why don't you fight? And you may think he's wrong. Like, how would you expect them to beat those strong antagonists, right? That sometimes even practice real martial arts, like they're much stronger. But Kenshiro still tells them, why don't you fight? And actually, he has a good argument. He says, if you're ready to die, because the guy gave up against Kenshiro, and he says, just kill us, just kill me, just do whatever you want. If you're ready to die, why don't you die against them? He got you there. But then you should also give them a point, which is that they are powerless. They don't want to die. They want to save those people. And so Kenshiro at the same time has to be the savior. But that's a very interesting thing, because teaching people, telling people to fight, that's something we got very recently. That's 𝚎𝚅, right? 𝚎𝚅 told that creepy village of everyone smiling, right? He grabbed that kid and said, kid, just bite my arm. Just do something. You're going to die. If you smile and abandon your emotions, how can you even call yourself a human? And that's when Ryuga went. That's going to be the strong tree for this era. Kenshiro does the same thing, but then he also goes and helps them. Because it's true that people have to fight, but sometimes they are powerless, and there must be a savior to protect, to save the weak, and that's what 𝚎𝚅 doesn't do. And that's what Ryuga isn't sure about. So you have this contrast, ultimately, between those lads, those innocent people who act like villains, but they're not. And they fight against the wrong people, the wrong way, but Kenshiro teaches them to fight, and most importantly, they're protected by Kenshiro. And Ryuga, who wants to fight against the protagonist, so he ends up being an antagonist, and he says himself that he will gladly be the villain for this era because that's his fate. He sides with 𝚎𝚅. Those lads don't side with any, they're actually against the evil people. But Ryuga sides with 𝚎𝚅 because he's not sure, because he doesn't trust yet the good that can be strong at the same time. So I think it's pretty much everything I wanted to say concerning this episode, how fighting is a great symbol for, first I'd say in the case of the lads, of just being good, right? Because in both cases you fight, whether it's against the good people or the antagonists. If you're ready to die, then make your fighting a symbol for your right values, good. So fighting is a symbol for good, but also a symbol for curiosity, which is something that we developed already concerning Ryuga. So you have this contrast between these 2 fights.